Hey there, everybody. So a question was asked to me why I think India is the next hotbed. The first one I'm going to come at is population. So you look at countries with the highest population, it's first China, and then it's India, and then the United States. And so what happens is, number one, is that the rate of population growth is actually seen in India, which is actually going to take over probably the next 5 years over China, and then it's going to start eclipsing and always being in the number one spot. And so as the economy continues to look at their infrastructure, it's going to be more solid. They're not going back to landlines. They're putting in telecommunications that's all mobile, and then mobility with more that we can do on our cell phones via the internet. It's going to give a lot of people power in order to start living lives that they want to or doing things that they want to and no longer being shackled by where they might be living. So for example, if you decided to open up a retail shop in Mumbai, you could easily then service the entire country just by having a .com e-commerce website, which gives you great access. Where before, seriously, you just look back just 10 years ago, if you decided to have a retail shop, majority of what you did was open up an actual brick and mortar, and then you sold to people that were in your community. And so now all of a sudden the internet gives the entire community the entire world. So it's a huge opportunity there. So the other thing that you look at is overall infrastructure that's getting implemented and put in and installed right now is it's top notch, it's new, it's innovative, versus where other countries, they need to replace out all the old infrastructure that exists in order to replace the new. So that can be somewhat of a lag where you have a lot of governments that are providing a lot of the infrastructure that's saying there's no point to invest into that just because we already have something that's in place. The other thing that you look at with a large population, even though the literacy rates aren't as big as you would see, let's say in places like Indonesia or some of Southeast Asia, where it's in the 90s according to the UN studies. But what happens is we have a population of 1.3 billion. You have a lot of various areas where literacy just isn't a big part of the culture, and so people aren't being taught to read over the age of 15. However, if you look at just the sheer quantity that looks like, even if let's say they have a 20%, they have about a 20% or 30% illiteracy rate, that still looks at the overall population being very literate for those that are going to be working in the community. The other thing that you have is a lot of them actually follow American politics. So a lot of them actually do speak English, which helps them be able to converse and be able to jump into the business side of things. The last thing that really comes to mind is their average age as a country. In the United States, the average age is about 38. You look at Japan, it's around 46. Germany is about 46. There in India, the average working age, the average age of the population, is about 27. So it's a very young workforce. And they're starting to see that they have a little bit more freedoms than what they're being told. And that can be a good thing for overall culturally, that as they continue to embrace their culture, yet they still see the ambitions that they want to do for themselves, so that they see entrepreneurship, they see becoming a business owner, so that they want to do in order to better their own lives. It's going to be a great thing for the overall economy. So that's what's got me really excited about India. And so I tell any US-based company that if you aren't seeing India as a next hotbed for what you're doing and having a branch there, an office there, you're definitely going to be missing out. As the country continues to have a larger middle class, they're going to start consuming more goods, not only in products, but also in services. And you want to make sure that you're a person that's in there. The nice thing that India does have, just like China, is that they have a one language that kind of goes across the country. So everyone does speak, or at least has access to Hindi. And then that's going to allow you to be able to converse in a way that's meaningful. Although there are a lot of just tribal and provincial dialects, you have to just get around those. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully that's helpful for anybody that is looking at jumping into India. Sherm's out.